Welcome back, 716 Sports Podcast. It's been a while, but we're back, It's been a busy summer / beginning of fall. Life happens. We haven't had time to get together, but we are back for the latest season of the 716 Sports Podcast. I've decided to say that we're going to dub everything seasons, because we're basically seasons, right? So this is season 7, right?
No, 8.
8? Are you sure?
Yeah, because season 1 would be 2014 when we started.
7 years later, it's 21.
You would include 2014.
Yeah, you would include 2014 as season 1.
Season 8.
Season 8.
Now that we've cleared that up, thanks for listening.
Like I'm getting old.
Hey, we started this in 2014. Holy shit.
2014 was only like last year, though. And 2000 was only 10 years ago. Right? The year 2000 was definitely only 10 years ago, and 2014 was like last year. Don't question the math. It's real. If you're listening, you agree with that there's no way that the year 2000 was almost 22 years ago. Absurdity.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll start with this. This season of the 716 Podcast is brought to you by Fucillo Toyota of Grand Island, sponsoring the show this season. Very happy to have them on board. They are having a pretty solid deal right now. Buy 4 tires. Buy 3 tires, get one for $1.
Get with the 4th for $1. That's right.
And then October 16th, it's a Saturday, they're having a Kelly Blue Book appraisal event where they're going to buy out your lease, your retail purchase, or whatever. If it's neither of those, they're going to buy it out at Kelly Blue Book value. And I think $25 of each of those buybacks will go towards some sort of cancer charity. It sounds like Striding for Cancer or something along those lines. Still waiting for details on that, but check out. I just bought a car from Fucillo, actually.
That's sweet. It's a sweet whip.
In April, and it was actually this is about the 5th car I bought, and honestly the easiest car buying experience I've ever had. I went to go, I figured, got all the stuff together, the car I wanted, the financing, and they had it ready for me the next day after work. Went there, picked it up. I even traded one in. It was a nice clean swap. I thought it was super. My car had a cracked windshield. It's a dent on the side.
It was a super upgrade. You went from a Chevy Trax to a GMC
Terrain. 2020.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was Arcadia.
Cracked windshield. The wheel bearing was messed up. They just took it. I got like $10,000 for it. It was like, okay. I thought it was be an issue. It was like, they didn't even mention it. It's like, I don't know. It's pretty cool. Anyways.
Quite a glow up in the car department for Justin.
Made a big step.
Fucillo is a good company to deal with. I bought a used car from them. My first car that I bought when I was out here, it was my Pontiac Vibe. I bought that from them, and I go to Fucillo more often than anybody else for service, and they're good to deal with service as well.
Wow, look at that.
Thanks to Fucillo for sponsoring the show this season. Check them out. I don't know. We're back. I'm excited. What have you guys been up to? Where the fuck you been? Where have we been? What have you guys been up to during our little break?
This is definitely more for the audience since the 3 of us work together and see each other every day. But, as far as the audience is concerned, we have had something every weekend. Like, it's wedding season, SZN. We literally have been going to weddings, even ones that we weren't invited to. We crashed a wedding. It was epic down in Ellicottville with permission, so it's really not crashing. But I'm not kidding. I want to say our first wedding was like the second Friday in July, like July 9th. It was a Friday. And literally from that day forward, that weekend forward, we've had a wedding, a birthday party, a family reunion, something every weekend, just because it feels like kind of COVID is over and we can kind of get together again. So every week, I'm not exaggerating, every weekend from whatever that weekend was in July until this weekend, I've been doing something or other, not complaining, but that's what I've been up to.
For me, it was getting the end of summer in, and now it's the beginning of fall. And you know how ladies like their fall. My calendar is full of fall activities.
Like apple picking?
4 of the 7. No, luckily my wife is not an apple picker. I think it's one of the reasons I married her. I've never once in our 10 years together have never been apple picking.
I almost said top 5 reason, but that's really insulting, and I like your wife, so that was not. I held back that joke because it didn't make sense. That would have been an awful thing to say.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. Yeah, see, it's been FC Buffalo for the beginning part of the end of summer, and then that nice run that the women's team especially had.
Yeah.
And then the couple weeks ago, I had family in town, so.
Hey, Mike, you're working on a little side project. Tell us a little bit about that briefly.
I was going to save that for the end, but I can tell you about that side project now. I've been throwing around for a while now some supplemental content for the podcast. So I have dug out my laptop and my webcam, and I look all brightly spray tannish. And I'm going to be doing some supplemental stuff for the 716 Sports Podcast on my personal channel on YouTube. It is called Mikey Chaos because I am known by both Mikey and Chaos, so I combine the two together. And I will be doing it'll kind of be a anything goes sports channel.
Food reviews. Oh, I was hopeful.
I do need to do that. Tailgate food reviews. There is going to be that at some point. But it is literally going to be anything. I will go literally anywhere you can think of with sports. And I'm expecting to schedule the first actual episode to drop this Wednesday, which would be tomorrow after this is
as you're
uploaded.
Listening tomorrow.
Yep. October 6th.
Sweet. So, yeah, we haven't done a show in a while. We have not done one since, I think, late July. We've missed the entire Bills preseason, the first 3 weeks of the season, but here we are talking about a lot to talk about. 4-0 blowout. That was sarcasm.
How good is this team, though? And that's not tongue in cheek. Like, okay, driving into work today, guy calls into the radio station and goes, "They're beating bad teams. Nothing has been proved." Shut the fuck up. Okay, I'm going on my rant right away. They are beating the brakes off these bad teams. Yeah. The same team that they just mollywopped last week won like 40-32. Right? The Washington football team won in a crazy game. Did they not? It wasn't like 40-32 or something like that. Regardless, the Washington football team put up a hell of a fight this week. Granted, it's not against a team as good as the Bills, but they're not beating these teams 27-24. They're not beating them 13-10. They are absolutely opening up cans of whoop ass on them despite not looking their best. It's not like the Bills are going out there and giving it their all and eking out a 14-13 win. They are absolutely can opening these guys. Like they're getting shit pumped. Everybody that they're playing, they are absolutely shit pumping. And I understand they're supposed to beat bad teams. They are not beating bad teams. They are destroying them. Davis Mills had like 4 passing yards yesterday. Like they had 4 picks. Like, it's unbelievable. They are Taylor Heineke coming into Buffalo had 0 turnover-worthy plays. He got picked off like 6 times. Like, it's crazy. They are playing so well on all sides of the ball.
Yeah, that game yesterday was, you would expect, even if you were to say bring in like even a college program like Alabama or maybe even the second, not the top cream of the crop,
Georgia.
But yeah, somebody like that. You would expect for more than 4, 10, or 100 yards out of them total offense. What was it? Like 109 yards total offense? I mean, it was something stupidly ridiculous that you don't see in the NFL.
They're the only team in the league that have not allowed an offense to put up 300 plus yards on them yet.
Yeah. I mean, the running backs averaged 2.7 yards a game yesterday, and they have a stable back there, right? They have David Johnson, they have Mark Ingram. And who's the other guy? They got 3 good running backs back there. And Philip Lindsay. They averaged 2.7 yards a carry. And the only difference between this game and the Washington game is the Washington game, that was a great play. The screen pass to Gibson. Heineke hung in there despite all the pressure, which is supposed to what's supposed to happen on a screen pass. But a really nice play by Washington leads to a 73-yard score. And then the fucking kickoff that took the weird bounce. I'm not here to blame Isaiah McKenzie for that. I don't know. But like, outside of that, they essentially shut out Washington too. You can call me stupid. They didn't shut out Washington.
No, they basically did.
But Washington did not drive down the field once on them. Not once. They had one really good offensive play, good for them, and then a special teams blunder that ended up in the Bills' end zone. And that game was still never close. And I'm sorry, yesterday, we're recording on a Monday, yesterday wasn't as close as 40-0 indicates. Yesterday was a 63-0 game. They just didn't score touchdowns.
Yeah, that first pass that Allen threw that hit Lonnie Johnson wide open for the interception. I mean, I thought that was going to be, are they overlooking Houston? But after the second drive, really, they mostly put it together. They left, like you said, it should have been like 63-0. Mm-hmm. I do agree they left a lot of points out there, but they did score a lot of points too.
They left a lot of points out against the Dolphins too. And they were mad winning 35-0. How the tables have turned that they are mad after a 35-0.
And it's funny.
Win.
Let's also talk about the fact that people are complaining about the fact that the Bills beat backup quarterbacks. Well, first off, you got to remember they also knocked Tua out of the game, so they knocked out Miami's starting quarterback. But you can only play who's out there for your opponents. You can't control who it is, because I'm sure the Bills do not care who these teams are throwing out there.
Honestly,
because they know they're better than these teams.
The Bills played a backup quarterback in Brissett, but he might be more competent than fucking Tua.
Yeah, we both said that we were more nervous when Brissett came in the game.
When Brissett came in the game, I was like, oh shit, they might have to play a competent quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't Brissett's first start also against the Bills when he was with New England and he got shut out?
His first start. You could be right, but he did play in the last.
He did play.
Yeah, he was the quarterback for them. But I think because Brady and Garoppolo were both out, and I don't remember if that was Brissett's first start, but
I know it wasn't his first
He was the starting
appearance.
quarterback.
Yeah,
he was the starting quarterback in that game. Was it 19-0? The Bills beat him.
Something like that. Yeah, but I think the Bills have had Brissett's number basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, they pretty much had every quarterback's number. They had Ben's too. They just didn't score against the Steelers.
Right. I mean, the only difference in that game is literally that blocked punt for a touchdown.
If the Bills play the Steelers this Sunday, what's the final score? 42-6, like
something like that. Yeah,
it would be. But
Pittsburgh's probably the best defense they've played, though.
Yeah, that defensive line was good. I feel like we're talking about so much because we haven't done a podcast yet. That defensive line was so good for Pittsburgh, and it did cause Allen some trouble, but he missed a lot of open throws.
Yes, he did.
It was both and. It was havoc being wreaked by Hayward and Watt and Ingram. They're so good at getting to the quarterback, and they'll disrupt anybody back there. But even when the passes were there, they were missed.
Yes.
And they've been fixing that. And this past week, they weren't great on offense. The rain, whatever you want to call it. They put up 40 points.
Well, okay, one of the things is we saw this last season too, but when there's rain involved in the game, the Bills' passing game kind of turns to crap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looked better. It started dialing in better at least this time, but this past game, but they can't keep starting off this bad. They have to figure out something for bad weather games. And at least they started getting production running the ball, because what was it? They had 100 and something ridiculous, like 190 yards or something combined with everybody running or something like that. I mean, so that started working, but they've got to get in that groove earlier and see, okay, or they got to working with the wet ball with Allen and the receivers.
I agree that Brady was sailing some throws yesterday too in the rain. They were talking about it on the commentary, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, because he missed Antonio Brown on back-to-back passes. Antonio Brown had a would-be touchdown probably, and Brady overthrew him. And Brady went right back to him like, oh, I'm sorry. And he fucking missed him again. And I think AB was upset. And I mean, of course, Brady ended up winning anyway. But that does happen. I am of the mind, I don't care if the Bills never run the ball. They could put a running back there strictly to block or for play action. I don't care if they run the ball 0 times a game. The fact that they have a competent running game, I'm 0% upset about it, because their offensive linemen are looking really good at run blocking. Spencer Brown, he is not coming out of the lineup. Spencer Brown was phenomenal on Sunday, and Andy's got a little edge to him. He was chirping people out there, but I think that
he was.
I could not care less if the Bills are good at running the ball, but the fact that they are good at running the ball doesn't make me upset. That's for sure.
It makes them so much harder to defend. Like, it's the best part. Like, they're picking up chunks of yardage down the run game. They're getting 70 yards in first down, which makes second down much easier. It opens the entire playbook. And they already ran the most play action in any team in the league, and now it just makes it more effective, because now you actually have to respect it.
And they're a three-headed monster. Because you have Singletary, who's been proven to be pretty shifty. Moss, who killed a man on the goal line against Miami. He body bagged that dude and got in the end zone anyway. And Allen, how much did you love Allen's fake sneak and boot?
Yeah.
When he turned like he was going to go between he was going to go in the A gap and then just took it to the left side and picked up 17 yards or something. Yeah. Like, they are a three-headed monster. Who is your best runner inside the 5? Josh Allen. As good as Zach Moss is, your best runner inside the 5 is Josh Allen. It's not even debatable. And it was hilarious because I put on the Twitter machine and I told Justin before he threw that second touchdown to Dawson Knox. It was weird. Like, they came out of the timeout or something like that, or whatever, TV timeout. And I literally said to my wife, I'm like, I want Allen to boot right. If the linebacker bites, pop it over to Dawson Knox. If not, take it yourself. It's exactly what happened. We saw it before. Was it the Thanksgiving game against Dallas when he booted hard right? And as soon as the linebacker took one stride toward him, he popped it up and over to Dawson Knox. It's unbelievable Credit to Brian Dable. Everybody hated him. Nobody does really anymore, but credit to him because his creativity. It was the guys in the not in the booth because they didn't have the booth saying you have Zach Moss pounded up the middle. Or no, they said that Josh Allen should take it on a QB sneak, and they came out spread. They were in 11 personnel with all the receivers spread out, and that's when Allen did the little fake boot to the right and threw it to Dawson Knox. Like, how dynamic. I love spreading it out inside the 5 to not have it be all the fat guys. And I don't know, just credit to this offense for continuing to be like, it's not vanilla. It's the opposite of that. I don't know. I'm grasping for words to describe how dynamic the offense is that they don't. It's
year 3, right, of this offense?
4.
Year 4, yeah. And they have the entire offense back, and yeah, it's definitely a fun offense to watch now. And I think they're still trying to find the groove, figure out how to work in Emmanuel Sanders and get everybody the ball. And I think Josh Allen's trying to force guys the ball in the first game. There's new faces. They're running the ball, so the ball's being thrown around less. You don't get the ball. Diggs, Beasley, Sanders.
Beasley's dropping
Davis
the ball.
Has barely seen the fucking ball.
Yeah,
he's dinged up, I think.
I mean, the Bills are one of the few teams where I've ever seen where you see the top 6. There's 6 receivers cycle in and out and get good reps because you see Kumaro and McKenzie on the field as well.
Yeah. And they haven't even been using McKenzie in the offense at all. He's not been a part of the gadget plays. He's gone in motion for the jet sweep a couple of times, but they haven't even been using it.
He's somebody I'd have on the field in motion almost every single play. It's something they don't take advantage of enough. Like,
the fact that that's still in their pocket, though, is fine by me.
Yeah.
Like that they've got that still, even if they're not pulling it out every week. Well, it's in the repertoire.
Mm-hmm. They're also showing that they'll give Emmanuel Sanders the ball on a reverse, too.
Yep. How much better is he than John Brown? And this is not me digging on John Brown because he was great when he was here. He got hurt. I think if he wasn't hurt last year, things might have been different.
Right.
I believe they were undefeated in games that he didn't play in. So that doesn't ever help your cause when the team wins every game that you don't play in.
Yeah.
But how much better is Sanders than John Brown?
He's pretty good. He's all around, yeah.
He had 3 decently long yardage completions against Washington.
Mm-hmm.
The 28-yard touchdown and then 2 long completions that got them down near the red zone.
He was finding soft spots in the zone yesterday, too. Just chunk plays down the sideline. And Allen was kind of missing him, right? He had to sit down on that one on the sideline. Like a couple times he was settling down between the zone and he had to kind of like sit down to catch the ball. But he's made that touchdown catch. Was it against Washington when he slid on the ground, or Miami when he was sliding on the ground, right? Like Allen was rolling right. Was it Washington? It was insane. Like he's so good. John Brown was great. He really was. But it's like if you had John Brown and then leveled him up once, you have Emmanuel Sanders, and he has been so good and so dynamic in this offense. It's funny because you wouldn't say that they needed another weapon, and now they have another legitimate weapon. And the good news is they're not clamoring. I don't think there's any friction there about where the ball's got to go. Like there's no drama at all.
Do you know what has a hand in preventing drama? Winning.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're winning, people aren't going to usually be upset because what you're doing is working.
Yeah, it's one thing if you're Stephon Diggs and you're losing and getting 6 receptions for 60 yards, but you're winning and getting that. Fuck cares.
The other part of it though is everyone is kind of getting theirs. Like Beasley had 11 catches last week. He only had 2 this week. But this week Diggs went over 100.
Well, exactly. They can feature a different player.
Right.
Every fucking down.
Yeah, and they're all eating. That's why no one's going to be upset because when Diggs goes to the podium and he goes, hey, this week wasn't my week to be the feature, but that week will happen. It kind of did this week. He was the number 1 receiver. He was the number 1 receiver for both teams. He had over 100 yards. He looked good.
They got players everywhere. You cover Diggs, you got Sanders or Beasley. You cover Sanders, you got Diggs and Beasley. Mm-hmm. You cover I knew the 2 of those guys. You got Dawson Knox.
The emergence of Dawson Knox.
On the one, Dawson Knox's first touchdown, the coverage totally 3 guys, the safety, the linebacker, and the corner, all drifted towards Diggs.
They bit on that pump.
Meanwhile,
so hard.
Knox is running free, wide
Skinny
open.
Post.
Like it's who do you cover? You have to play zone. And with Josh Allen progressing the way he is, he can now pick apart zones. And he's got players like Emmanuel Sanders that know how to find those soft spots. And Cole Beasley. What a day on Twitter.
Oh, my gosh.
Let's go, Brandon.
So I do want to talk about both lines, offensive and defensive. Offensive line, you have Cody Ford in the doghouse. I don't know if that upsets anybody. I mean, but he's a third-round pick that hasn't really found his stride.
He's a third-round flyer.
Sure. But with how much success this team's had drafting, Dawson Knox was third round and Matt Milano. Yeah, they've had so much success drafting guys later on that end up being studs or very, very good players. The fact that he's in the doghouse now, like Spencer Brown is not giving his spot back, and John Feliciano is going to be back next week most likely. I think Cody Ford's going to be the odd man out again, and I'm not upset about it because this 5-man unit, like when Dawkins got hurt, I was nervous. But Feliciano had a bad game 2 weeks ago, and last week was really good. Mitch Morse might be having his best run of games as a Bill.
He lose like 40 pounds, I heard?
I don't know, but he's been looking great in the run game, pulling out to the sides, like just in general looking really good. And then if you have Spencer Brown, and then how good is Darrell Williams to just move him? He's been playing right tackle since he got here, and they slide him into guard. He was great. He did just fine. And then, like, Allen wasn't under duress at all yesterday. I mean, and I don't know. They really seem comfortable on the offensive line.
He didn't get sacked once either with Cody Ford in there and the way the line was.
Yeah, he gave up like 11 pressures. Cody Ford did the week before, and I'm betting most of that was what's his name, Chase Young. But Allen just made a miss every time. But Allen did have to run for his life a lot. You know, in the Washington game, but. The offensive line really seems to have depth and be a good unit.
And that Washington defensive line is good. Like you said, Chase Young, Montez Sweat. I mean, that's not a bad defensive line right there.
I watched a highlight video of Deion Dawkins owning Montez Sweat with his footwork and his hands.
But that was
absolutely owned him.
That was the group that towards they finished 7-9 last year, but towards the end of the season, that was their main group that was helping them.
They almost beat Tampa in the divisional game or the wild card game. They almost beat Tampa Bay in the playoffs because that group was getting to Brady.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that defensive line is definitely one of the respectable ones they've played this season, and they're handling their business.
Not sure Chase Young has a sack yet this year, though. Not ideal for your stud defensive end to not have one sack through 4 games. That means
Star Lotulelei has more sacks than him.
Star Lotulelei has 2 sacks now.
The return of Star.
Can we talk about the Bills' defensive line and how much better it is with him? Good transition.
Into.
Yeah, go for it.
Did you see the meme from the Dolphins game where there was 4 guys blocking him?
It's a good strategy.
The bookends just like running free.
Isn't that how Tua got hurt? You had like 500,000 guys having to block Star.
Epinesa had free run at him, clean hit, lined him up, broke his body.
And at some point, somehow Epinesa did not get a sack in that game. He was in the backfield the whole game. He never got a sack.
Well, did he sack 2 on that play that he hurt him?
Ball was gone.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Duh. Duh.
Just crazy.
Epinesa's looking good. Oliver's making some more plays.
Oliver's been a beast in the run game.
Yeah.
He literally said in a postgame, I want them to run the ball. Go ahead. Go ahead, make my day. And
there was a couple times this last game where he was just standing in the backfield almost like he was ready to receive the handoff.
The one handoff, he blew up, what's his name, before he even had the ball. He was in the backfield before. Why am I an idiot? Who would you say? It wasn't Ingram. Gibson? I don't know. No, because that's Washington. Who's yesterday? Why am I stupid? The Texans. David Johnson.
Yeah, David
Johnson didn't even have the ball yet. And Ed Oliver was already there. It was like a play in Madden where you can like force a fumble because you get the hit before the ball's even handed off. Star is a difference maker. I don't care what anybody says. You see they moved Boogie Basham inside and out, and he was getting pressure both ways.
Yeah.
And that's a guy that's down the depth chart that isn't good enough, quote unquote, to crack the lineup regularly.
Speaking of that,
he looked great.
Safety, getting picks.
Mm-hmm.
What was this guy's name?
Jerron. Jerron Johnson, right?
Yes.
Jerron Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Poyer out, no problem. Just slides right in.
Next man up.
Yeah.
There's so much credit to McDermott because Dean Marlowe used to do that too.
Yeah.
Not that Dean Marlowe's not a good player.
Yeah.
But the systems that McDermott and that Leslie Frazier have in place. AJ Klein all of a sudden doesn't suck. I hated AJ Klein. He Milano goes out, which is hurtful.
AJ Klein was a problem.
He played so good yesterday.
He was a problem yesterday for
tipped that pass for the pick. He was making plays at the line of scrimmage. He was reading run plays. Like whatever secret sauce they've got these guys drinking, it's working because even guys who we didn't like, who weren't very good, have developed and they're good players now.
Well, I was listening to GR after the game. I was out driving around a couple places, and one of the things they said, and I believe this is right just based on what I'm seeing, is McDermott puts all the players he has in the position that they would best succeed in. So he tries to utilize their strengths and tries to make sure they're not playing to their weaknesses.
Sure. Even guys like that have been getting hate, like Tremaine Edmonds, people have been hard on. He's your middle linebacker. He's got to make the splash plays. He's got to be the guy like 115 tackles last year, which I know is a middle linebacker that comes easily. He was an impact player yesterday. Had the pick, had a forced fumble, all over the field. He was buzzing the whole game.
And that's one thing he has had a problem with is dropping picks.
Yeah.
He's dropped multiple picks.
Right, which I'm not even upset about him at the end of the day because, of course, you want him to intercept it, but it's like, oh, man, the Bills secondary didn't have any interceptions yesterday. Well, they dropped 3 picks. You know what I mean? So did they really play that poorly or did they just have,
That's still 3 passes defended.
Correct. Like, it's one of these things where, yeah, Tremaine Edmonds doesn't have a lot of splash plays, but it's not like he's not around the ball. It'd be like if you forced 2 fumbles in a game, but neither one was lost. So, well, did you have a good game? Absolutely. Just because it didn't turn into 2 turnovers. And I feel like Tremaine Edmonds gets a bad rap, and I don't know what people want from him, what more they want from him. I don't know what their goal is. Like, what's the end game with him?
He's not typically a flashy player either. He's just solid. He's like a solid, jams up the middle of the field, and your flashy linebackers are the outside guys, right? For a guy that big, the way he moves, the plays he makes, like this year he's really coming along. I don't think he's playing injured most of last year too, right?
Like, he's healthy.
This year you got to put some respect on his name. He's fucking out there, dude. He's making some big plays.
Who isn't?
Yeah.
Who on the defense is not? Who can you name right now that you don't need to put respect on the name for the way they're playing right now? I mean, there's guys like Harrison Phillips who haven't really cracked the lineup. Okay, like he hasn't even been in the lineup. Even Justin Zimmer, you see him making plays. Like he's just got such a high motor. You see him out there making plays. Your depth guys.
I mean, he's still basically his name was made by forcing that fumble, Cam Newton fumble, and he's still playing like he's got to prove himself. Yeah. Like he's playing like he hasn't done anything in the league and still has to prove himself and get his name out there.
That's how I should play every down.
Yeah.
So everybody should play every down.
Well, that's what I was going to say though. You had the end of that game where all the subs come in and nothing changed.
Yeah.
Matakevich gets his first career interception, I believe. He's a special teams guy out there playing linebacker, gets a pick. Mitch Trubisky comes in the game, garbage time, they're just going to... They walked down the field. They still shoved the ball straight down the throat of Houston. And Mitch Trubisky runs this beautiful naked bootleg for a touchdown.
Yeah, I still think, the thing is, I still think this offense is trying to find his groove. I don't think they've even hit their stride yet. The tires are still trying to find traction. They got a brand new pair of wheels, right? And they're still trying to figure out how they work.
It's such a shame that they could only manage 40 points while they're trying to figure it out.
Right? And they should have had 60 plus. Right. God, and in a driving rainstorm, people are dogged on that. So I heard someone on the radio saying Sean McDermott seems like lost his killer instinct or something like that. Because they went for field goals and 4th and short in the red zone, like
guaranteed points. Basically,
guaranteed in a driving rainstorm. It'd be different if it was 70 and sunny, no wind. I'm sure he's going for that most of the time, especially in that game where there's zero threat of anything.
Right.
But it was a shitty rainstorm. Josh Allen was not making good passes with the wet ball, hence the first pick, and the very next throw is 30 yards over Diggs' head.
Yeah, Diggs couldn't have caught that if he had another Diggs standing on his head.
But I think they're still finding the stride. I mean, that first game, I really think Josh Allen was settling in that new contract. He's coming into a buzzing stadium. That place is rocking on top of his new contract, right. And that had to be tough for him mentally because he's probably going nuts in his head. He's trying to make the big plays, and now he's back to finding the guys sitting in the zones, dinking and dunking, and that's where the Bills were good.
And do you think maybe this preseason had an effect too, where they had one fewer game and they didn't really play as much during this preseason as they normally would?
Against backups, right?
Yeah.
Allen played on one of them against backups.
You know what I like about Allen, maybe most of all in his development? Not that he needed to develop after last year's MVP year. I feel like maybe even more so 2 years ago or even last year, it was like, okay, first read isn't there, gotta go. And he'd run. You see him now. First read, second read, third read, roll out. Oh, there's a throw there. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, he's not taking off and running to try to get, like, that touchdown to Sanders. He boots right, and he has a receiver in front of him literally waving for him to run because he can block for him. and he instead picks his head up and sees Sanders sprinting across the end zone and slings it, 35 yards on a rope, no problem.
Let's also talk about that Diggs touchdown he had in Miami where he was
so stupid.
Rolled out to the right, threw it back, was able to establish himself to throw it back across the body and threw a perfect pass to Diggs.
That was a video game throw.
Yeah.
I think that was probably like his first game and a half, too. Josh Allen was just locking on to his first read. And I mentioned it to you after they lost the Steelers game. Like, what is he? It's like he was old Josh, just locking on to the first read. Like he would look there and not look away. And he was doing it during the first half of the second game, too. But he seemed to he's not doing that anymore. I think he felt a lot of pressure coming in. I really think it's a factor. And I was saying to my wife after they lost, if they were losing the first game, I was like, I halfway hope they lose this game. Like it's gonna be like the humbling loss they need. And right now, it looks like it was quite the humbling loss because it reminds me of them after the Cardinals loss, where they just turned an absolute buzzsaw, and were, as Steve said, molly-whopping teams after that. That's
we 6 straight wins after that. Other than, they went to the AFC Championship game. Yeah, it wasn't even close.
We don't want to feel like this again. So
yeah,
yep.
I think the hardest thing McDermott's got to do is keep them respecting each team week in and week out. Like,
seemed to work this week.
Yeah, it's an NFL team. Like they're beating bad teams. It's a professional football players. It's any given Sunday in this league, right? Like you've seen the Dolphins, the Jets just beat the fucking Titans.
So good for the standings for the Bills too.
Like I don't
so
care
good to have the Jets beat the Titans.
The Texans. They're just still like an NFL football team.
Yep.
Like they should be able to muster a field goal or a touchdown.
Well, they did on that first drive until the Bills defense said, "Fuck you."
At the end of the game, I literally felt bad for Mills.
Yeah. I felt bad at the first quarter.
At the end of the second half,
that dude, what did you said to me? This poor guy said he might die today. They're gonna kill him out there. That dude. He's only played he's only started 12 times in his career.
Yeah, I feel like
since high school, he's only played 12 games or something like that.
I feel like any positive play that he had, his receivers either dropped it, fumbled it, or tipped it right to a
holding offense. They kept coming back on holds.
He had a couple nice long runs holding.
Yeah, no wonder you got that nice long run because you're holding.
They had 10 penalties for 100 yards.
They weren't even good holds either.
No. 10 penalties for 100 yards.
What was that dude doing that shoved Knox down to totally...
Knox hit the LeBron.
Yeah, what was...
Totally legitimate tackle. Like he was trying to get him out of bounds.
Yeah.
And the dude just got up and shoved it. It was a pretty funny flop.
They're
giving it to him on Instagram too.
Yeah.
The Bills said, what did he say? They say that Dawson Knox has been...
Do you watch soccer?
Yes, Dawson Knox must watch a lot of soccer.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the comments immediately blow up that LeBron's taking notes, which is fantastic. It was so good. So many people making fun of him. What's his name? Tyler Dotson making fun of him. That's what I mean about the team seems to be really close knit. And that first stop, you talk about any given Sunday in an NFL team. Josh throws that pick. It was almost a pick six. And 2 minutes later, the Bills have the ball again after a huge 4th and goal stop. You want to talk about confidence, Justin, the nerves, the contract weighing on Allen. The lights are brighter than ever. There were no expectations for him. Even last year, nobody had the expectations to have him take them to the AFC Championship game. It was find your way back into the playoffs, maybe win the wild card game. This year, it's this kid better take you to the Super Bowl. Here's $248 million. Get it done.
Yep.
But what has to be pushing back against that is, one, he still got it, and he showed it against Washington last weekend and against Houston. But the dude had 5 touchdowns last week. The other thing is this defense has got to be giving him so much confidence. His balls must feel like the size of grapefruits, knowing that he can throw a pick at his own 20 and he gets the ball back 1 minute later without them even putting points on the board. This defense is buzzing right now. And I know they're playing bad teams, but that is going to be the biggest difference from last year to this year is the presence of a pass rush. Everything just seems to be gelling. They're healthy, knock on wood. Milano day to day. It's said to be day to day with a hamstring. So.
But you know what happens when you're beating up on bad teams like that? There's 2 things that could happen. And I think what's going to end up happening with the Bills is the second thing I want to say. The first thing is you can fall into bad habits. Cocky, yep. Second is I think they're taking it as an opportunity to work on what they feel they need to work on, and it will help them this season as they're building the right habits and they're seeing success. So it builds confidence.
Yeah. So I was just going to say confidence. And confidence makes so much difference. You talk about Allen. When he's confident, he plays so much better. This defense has all the confidence in the world, and rightfully so. They've earned it. And how how important is that? You step out on the field and you say, all right, boys, we're going to stop them. And you haven't made a stop on the last 13 third downs. Nobody believes you. When you go, okay, boys, we're going to stop them. And you literally have stopped 2 teams from scoring any points this year. You believe that. And it's crazy. Like, even playing bar league sports, when you have more confidence, you play better. When you boot a couple ground balls, not that I would know anything about that, all of a sudden you're struggling to make an easy play. And then when you make a couple nice plays, you're like, damn, I'm okay at this. And you start playing better. And that doesn't change from beer league to professional sports. When you're playing with confidence and a chip on your shoulder and it's healthy, like you're saying, Mike, it stems from good habits and things working out, you doing things the right way. Like that's where they're at right now. It's a dangerous combination. They're in a good spot right now. All that could change on Sunday.
It's going to be an interesting game. I mean, like, it's the healthiest they've been since they played the Chiefs in this quote-unquote era of the team. They should have Milana back. They should have Poyer back.
Feliciano.
They have healthy Diggs. You know, Diggs has played with like a torn solar plex last year or something, right?
Cole Beasley with a broken leg.
Beasley is healthy.
Literally running out there on a broken
leg. Yes.
He's got a haircut. He's going to be out of town, so he won't get booed or beezed to whatever the fuck is happening. They're healthy. They're all healthy. They have a healthy offensive line, and the Chiefs' defense is basically non-existent.
No.
Their tackles can't block.
The 2 brand new tackles.
Yeah.
That's part of it, too. Both tackles are gone.
Why would you invest $500 million into your franchise quarterback and then, let's get rid of these 2 bookends?
Because they can't afford them after you give your quarterback $500 million.
I'd rather get rid of one of my best defensive players to keep my fucking franchise quarterback safe. You got a franchise quarterback in every game.
And you have some tape on what to do because the Chargers turned them over 4 times last week.
Yep.
They still lost because the Chiefs are... No, the Chargers beat them.
Chargers beat them,
Yeah. I'm thinking about yesterday how the Chiefs were... The Eagles
They
were
almost
hanging
lost
out
to
with
the Eagles.
Yeah, they did, but then they didn't.
Yeah.
The Eagles were winning, and then it finished like 42-21 or something like that.
42-30, yeah.
Yeah, so it was ended up out. But, I mean, the book to beat the Chiefs is to outscore them or to make Mahomes run for his life. And the Buccaneers successfully made Mahomes ran for his life, and then other teams have come really close to outscoring them, like Cleveland last year in the playoffs. How different could it have been if Cleveland would have beat the Mahomes-less Chiefs?
Well, also, remember Cleveland and Kansas City played in week 1, and Kansas City only won by 4.
Yeah.
So Cleveland almost beat them twice.
Are you more concerned about playing Kansas City than you were last year in the championship game? Less concerned? Or, I don't mean the stakes, because obviously the stakes are bigger in the championship game. Are you more confident in the Bills' ability to beat the Chiefs than they were in the championship game? Yes, no, or you're indifferent? It's the same.
I think the Bills are better than the Chiefs. I think the Bills got better last year. Fuck this up. The Bills got better this year, and the Chiefs, I don't think, did get any better.
Yeah.
They might have got a little worse with their changing up their offensive line.
But if your offensive line basically is the lifeblood of your quarterback's very important. You got to have a good quarterback, but your offensive line is what protects him.
I just think the Bills just need to not outcoach themselves. I think like whenever they play the Chiefs, their offense just fucking falls flat, and they don't have a good defense. That team, right? They don't have a good defense. Their team just outscores you 45-44 because they can't stop anybody. But they play the Bills, and then the Bills can't do anything. And then the championship game, it was a totally different Bills offense, right? And we were bitching about it. I mean, what were they doing?
Yeah, they felt like it wasn't. They felt like imposters.
As long as they don't outcoach themselves and play to their identity, I think they're going to be okay. If they get 1 or 2, if they get 2 or 3 stops, I think the Bills are going to be good.
I think bringing in Emmanuel Sanders is also a big part of that because he has the experience. Was with 3 Super Bowl teams, I think they said?
He's won 1.
He won with New Orleans. No, he won with Denver, sorry.
Didn't he win with Pittsburgh? He didn't win with Pittsburgh?
No, but
did he make it?
Holmes, yeah.
But he made it multiple times.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
He won with Denver.
So maybe that's part of what's bringing it. Part of what helps this team too is he's got that experience with winning. He's hoisted the Lombardi Trophy once. So
my biggest concern with Kansas City is Hill and Kelsey, only because the numbers, either in the championship game or both games, might be both games last year. Kelsey and Hill are 22 catches on 26 targets for like 5 touchdowns and 300 yards. It's preposterous.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying anybody can take those guys away. Tyreek Hill had a hat trick yesterday. He's unbelievable. And Trey White is good, but this dude is so fast. Like, and Kelsey is the best tight end bar none in the game.
Trey White is not a speedy corner.
No, and who's going to cover Kelsey? Who in the league can cover Travis Kelsey?
Yeah.
Nobody. So at some point, you either got to outscore him or get creative somehow.
So you're forced to put Trey White in man and give him safety help every time.
Yeah.
Like you have to.
Yep.
You have to roll coverage to him. And then if you're doing that, you see what happened with Diggs and the Knox play, where they roll the Diggs and they just hit Knox. That's why their offense is so good.
The important factor of rolling coverage that way is you got to be able to get home with 4 then.
Yeah.
Because you can't blitz anybody if you're going to roll coverage, which is fine. So if you're going to end up in a cover 6 or something instead, that's fine to roll coverage to one side, but then you need to have the front four get home, or else Mahomes is going to stand back there and pick you apart.
Beat them.
Correct. The Bucks rushed 4 the whole Super Bowl. They did not need to blitz.
I don't think they blitz one time.
Vita Vea just blowing people up, and Shaq Barrett just blowing people up, and I mean it's gonna be tough, but I'm excited for this game, and also because of the standings where they are, maybe it's because it's too far away. I'm not feeling the pressure of it. Like worst case scenario, you leave that game in the same record, and it sucks because KC has the tiebreaker. If you beat them, if you beat them, you have 2 games on them and the tiebreaker. Whew.
You know what sucks is that we lose this game. This is going to go on. It's just going to hear shit on the radio. WGR is going to be unlistenable for the next week if they lose
because they lost to the best team in the league.
It's going to be unlistenable. Like I won't even turn it on.
Yeah, because a week 5 road game, no matter who the opponent is, the most important game of the season. You know that, right?
I wish it was a home game.
This really could be the most important game of their season, though.
Yeah,
like in the standings,
it's the biggest measuring stick.
Not even just that in the standings. They have a chance. They have the chance to give themselves a 2.5 game lead on the Chiefs, right?
And the tiebreaker.
That's what I mean. 2.5 game. That's why I said that.
My bad.
I don't know if it's maybe measuring stick wise because they still have to go down to Tampa in week 14.
But that doesn't matter in the conference. Like Tampa's not. Tampa poses no issue to you in the standings.
No, I think
Super Bowl.
measuring stick. Tampa is probably the game, but I think both for record tiebreakers, conference, all that, Kansas City is the game you need to look at.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be the 1 seed, which has to be their goal, have the AFC Championship in Buffalo, you got to outduel Kansas City, especially at this point, because nobody's afraid of these other Denver and the Raiders. They're posers. Sorry, they're not really going to win. The 1 seed.
Just to give you a break the fourth wall a little bit, we're watching the Chargers and the Raiders game right now, and the Chargers are driving up the field up by 7.
Right. These teams that are doing well or undefeated in the AFC East do not scare me. It's the teams like Tennessee and Kansas City that scare you more, and they're 2-2. So, like that's the beat Tennessee and beat Kansas City this year, and you're the fucking 1 seed come December, and it's going to be awesome.
And then you got to remember Tennessee has a bad loss to the Jets, so you don't know how that's going to mentally affect them going forward.
So huge to have the Jets Jets beat Tennessee yesterday.
You had Kansas City lose a tough one to Baltimore at the last minute or something. I mean, it was went right to the end.
Baltimore lost this past week, didn't they? Did they lose yesterday? No,
they lost last
that great
week.
Catch by Hollywood. No, because Justin Tucker made a 66-yard field goal. They did not lose last week.
Oh no, that's right. They are 3-1.
They're 3-1.
3-1.
That sounds
Patch
right.
taking out an NFC team, which I think they're the only team you got to be really halfway fearful of. I mean, their defense is still playing pretty well. Mac Jones can't make a throw past 15 yards.
He looked good last night, though. He completed 19 straight passes.
Still can't make a throw past 15 yards.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think that'll come with time if they open up a little bit. And he doesn't
even
have
when
many
he's in
targets.
college.
Yeah,
he's a dink and dunk right after catch. You give him Samuel Watkins. He's it's kind of the guy he needs.
Yeah. I mean, but he looked okay last night. I mean, he listen, as a rookie quarterback, he did what he needed to do to give him a chance to win. I know it was a 56-yard field goal. He got him in field goal range. He did what he needed to do to get them a chance to win. And
can't believe he just missed that.
He hit the upright. It's crazy.
Imagine Belichick beats Brady. Oh God.
I mean, standings wise, of course, you're happy Tampa Bay won.
Yeah,
because that's another loss to an AFC team in the division. But my wife wants to see Tom Brady never win another football game, so she was quite upset last night.
I don't mind Tom Brady on the.
I'm kind of with
Bucks.
you. I'm kind of with you. Like
I half hate him because he's on the Patriots and he was so good.
Yeah.
And now he's not bothering me over there.
Right.
And plus, he's like way more fun now. Like on social, he's like you see more of his character coming out. He's kind of a funny guy.
Yeah. I agree. He's
I enjoy his Twitter.
Yeah.
He makes funny videos.
The commercial's good with Gronk. That one with I'm coming back and Gronk's coming with me or whatever.
Tom Brady does not eat bread, but he has one of the best Subway commercials of all time.
Yes.
Mom, have you seen my football pants?
I really like that Nick Mangold Bud Light Seltzer commercial.
That was good. That's a lot of tape.
That's a lot of tape.
Good commercials.
So I am super excited for Sunday. It feels like so much less pressure because it's not the AFC Championship game. Like, obviously, the AFC Championship game, you lose and your season's done. This one, you lose, you're still 3-2. You're still going to win your division. You're still going to win probably 14 games this year. Like,
I get more worried about games like this one, the trap games.
Yeah. They're proving you needed to be 0%.
You lose to
Vegas tried so hard to get money on Houston. They're like, we'll give you 18.5 points. And they're like, nope. Because it started at 16.5. And there was enough money going to the Bills anyway that they upped the spread to 18.5 at kickoff. And nobody wanted to bet the Texans even with that, which is smart because the Bills have the last 3 opponents beat by a combined total of 372 points. Largest point spread in the league, leading the league in turnover differential. Just absurd.
I have a bunch of friends that bet the over on that game. Is
42.5?
It was under 47.
47.
Last I knew, it was under 47.
Yeah.
And so a bunch of my friends are pissed off they didn't get one more touchdown. Or a couple more touchdowns.
Can't expect these Bills to give up any points.
Yeah.
It's the first time a team has posted 2 shutouts in the same year since like 2009.
2 shutouts by 35 with a 35 or point.
What's that
more
point
margin?
Since 2009, and that was 12 years ago. And they've only played 4 games.
What's the point differential? They have the highest in the league and
90 now, right?
higher than the next 2 teams combined. What
Yeah,
is this?
Absurd. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, especially since Oakland was the only team that Oakland had a chance to put a kink in that, but
Denver was tied with Buffalo coming into this week. Denver and Buffalo were both at plus.
Well, the Bills are 50. It would have to be 50 because the Bills scored 40 and are now plus 90.
Correct. It was the Denver and Buffalo are both plus 50, but now Denver's not.
I think the Bills just can dial down Josh Allen. If Dable can dial down Allen, just fucking come
Take
out
what's
there
there.
and play a game.
Take what's there.
Don't gotta be big play hero, Josh. You got 4 guys you can throw to at any given time. Like, it's not about Dawson Knox. You know Dawson Knox played quarterback? He doesn't only hit his 4th year playing tight end.
Really?
Yeah, like he's a converted quarterback. He used to be a QB. He's like brand new to the position. That's pretty good. Like, guy's an athlete. Anyways, I turned on the TV after the game and I saw fucking some guy in Sal Capaccio talking about how they're bitching about the Bills' offense. And they're talking Josh Allen had an okay stat line, 21 for what, 22, 28, 260 yards.
249 yards, yeah.
It's like, it's an okay stat. In a shitty rainstorm, he's not throwing the ball as much now because they could run. That's a huge, he's not going to throw 300 yards a game now because they're not throwing it 50 times.
Right.
They have a legitimate run game where they're feeding these guys a balanced workload. They're getting 10 carries each that they weren't getting
They're
last year.
chewing up 7 yards each carry.
Well, think about this. For so many years, the obsession was the Bills haven't had a 300-yard passer. The Bills haven't had a 300-yard passer.
That was me. You can call me out. That was me.
But that was the obsession, and then people are still have that mentality that you have to put up 300 yards passing. No, you need to do what works.
Yeah. I'm 0% upset about Josh's stat line yesterday. When you win 40-0, it's hard to be upset. Same thing with the 35.
As long as you win, I don't give a shit what the quarterback's stat line is. He had 68% completion percentage, 268 yards, and 4 touchdowns. How many? I don't even remember.
Yesterday, 2.
2?
Yeah. Both
2
the Knox.
touchdowns, yeah.
I don't care. This is want to win the game.
Yeah, both the Knox. The rest were rushing touchdowns.
And don't forget that fourth down play, which we brought up earlier, where they faked the sneak and took it to the outside.
17 yards.
To the outside, yeah.
Just preposterous.
35-0 complained about the offense, and 40-0 complained about the offense.
In their defense, at 35-0, even Cole Beasley said, we knew we weren't good today.
Well, yeah, they weren't good.
Because they were like, look, we know we can be better. And that's awesome. That's a championship standard, in my opinion. That's a championship standard.
Like I said, they're still finding the footing.
Mm-hmm.
They're still figuring it out.
I love that they're trying to find the footing in games that they're winning 40-0.
Yeah.
It'd be if they were losing, you're like, well, they're still trying to figure it out. It'd be like, fuck off. Because they got to win the game. They're winning by scores of 40-0.
If it's a dry day,
it's stupid out there.
If it's a dry day, like
72 points.
Bitchy Biscuits going in
the second
middle,
quarter.
yeah, like middle of the third.
You know what? I like that there's been this game in a little bit against Washington that the backups have gotten at least a little bit of time in there. I like that they're able to take a look and say, okay, if we have to bring these guys in a game situation, they know what they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're getting a taste for that game, for that play too. Like AJ Klein's not sitting on the bench getting. You know that when Milano and Edmonds are healthy, they're every down linebackers. But the fact that AJ Klein can come in and get these reps, and if there's an instance where he does have to come in and play, he's seen game speed, he's felt game speed, and he's made plays. We talk about confidence again. As soon as AJ Klein stopped fucking up and making some decent plays when they had him rushing the passer last year, he got better. I still thought he over pursued sometimes, missed some tackles in the backfield, like just left plays out there to be made, and he frustrated me. This year he's buzzing. Like he looks good. He's reading the play. He's doing things correctly. I mean, that's the case for a lot of guys. Like Ed Oliver is not having these phenomenal games. You know, he's not Aaron Donald-esque. He's not disrupting every play, but you notice him and he's playing well. And that's the beautiful part of it. Sean McDermott will tell you, yeah, we think that he can unlock a little bit more, but hey, he's making plays for us and he's still got confidence about him. Even though he's not yet making these big plays, he's still like, yeah, I love when they run the ball because I'm going to stop them. It's great. Like they have this atmosphere. It sounds so they're humble and hungry. Like, yeah, I can be better. Yeah, I can do better than I did this past week, but they're not discouraged. They're not like, oh, this isn't working. This is dumb. This is, you know, a week that Sanders gets overthrown a couple times or when Diggs only gets 6 catches for 60 yards. It's not like that's deterring anybody from playing well or being upset with the team or disgruntling anybody. They really have a culture, a winning culture, not just because they're winning at One Bills Drive, in my opinion.
So, the Bills are good.
Bills are very good.
Bills are very good. Sabres are still very bad.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
And it's not even just on the ice that they're bad right now.
Oh, gosh.
They say Bettman weighed in on it. I saw a Buffalo News article today that Bettman's pretty neutral on it. It's just not a good situation. It's weird. Let's not get into that. I haven't talked about it in a while. I feel good. I feel fresh not talking about it for a while. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Preseason, right? They have not looked that great in their preseason so far. But you know, we're not seeing real full true rosters, and they're trying out guys at spots like Quinn at center and Tage Thompson at center and putting R2 back at center. So they're testing a bunch of things out. But they haven't looked great this preseason. They looked really bad tonight in the first period.
Basic plays just not being
They
made.
they kind of put it together though, and they put it together a solid second and third. Actually, if it wasn't for a few, they ended up losing 5-3. But if it wasn't for you take away a few bonehead mistakes, it's a game against an NHL heavy roster that Columbus put up. Sabres wasn't super NHL heavy, but they got to break up Yoki Hario and Dahlin. They're not a good defensive pairing together. I don't know why they're so dead set on these guys playing together.
Yeah, that's not a pair that I would trust too much defensively.
Actually, it's funny. I won't tell you. Like, I'll tell you guys a story later. But I skate every Friday morning at Harbor Center, and I kind of got like stuck in an elevator with like 3 players from camp. They weren't like Sabres, but they were like Amherst guys that were up here for camp, right? And I did a brief chat because we kind of got stuck in the elevator. Not like it was kind of going up when it was supposed to go down and down was supposed to go up, and we never made it to the floors we were trying to get to. It was really weird. And then it's kind of stopped on the 7th floor, like for no reason. It wouldn't move anywhere. So I just struck up a conversation. We were just bullshitting, but pretty interesting interaction with some of those guys. But like I said, a lot of I did ask them. I kind of fan talked them a bit. It's a good camp, and there's actually a lot of positive energy around the camp, which is cool. I told him, I'm like, you know, Sabres, now that, you know, the vibe around the area of Sabres isn't great right now, but I love the team. I watch every game, so I kind of fan talked it. But there's like they kind of agreed, and like the energy is fucking really high around there, and it's pretty cool. But
well, I think it's one of those situations that this year it's not going to be that I think it's going to be that the team is just not very good, but I think they're going to be out there putting out the effort and working to improve and working towards the future.
They could be the lovable losers. It's definitely possible.
I don't think they're going to be that bad. Like I watched the first period, like, this team is bad. They're really bad. And then it was 5-1. Like, oh god, they're really bad. And then they put together a really good second and third period, and Hamilton came back. Like they probably could have tied it. But when they put together a real roster there, they might be halfway respectable. I'm not saying they're going to be good, but they're going to be halfway respectable. I'm always an optimist, though, but I still don't I don't know why Zemgus is. Who's he paying? See the quote? Kyle posted put out some quote raving about the guy. Great, best teammate he's ever had. Does all the things, but sure, he probably is a really great friend, great teammate. very subpar NHL player when he's on the ice. Like, I don't get what he even does out there. He doesn't even play good defensively. He doesn't do the little things you want. I don't know. Anyways. But.
I think today part of the victimhood might have been that even though they had guys out there who will be playing on opening night, they were in different spots.
Yep.
You had Tage at center skating with
Okposo
and
Weisbach? I think it might have been Weisbach.
Weisbach. Yeah. Weisbach, whatever. Yeah, that's right. Good call. And then you broke up Casey and Tage and, Skinner or Olofsson, like that affects things. Like I get it. Use preseason to figure out what you have. Like use preseason to figure out who's playing with who. But
he knows look great in limited time this preseason. Anders Bjork has looked like just a machine.
I think there's something to be said for his relationship with Don Granato.
Mm-hmm.
They go way back.
He's going to be a good player from this year. And R2 was going to play center tonight, but I guess he came to the rink not feeling well, which is why Tage Thompson slotted in there. I'm not a fan of this Jack Quinn playing center thing either. Like, why do they want to turn wingers into centers? Turn a center to a wing.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
It's a much different scenario. Mm-hmm. It's a position with it's so much more responsibility, so much more thinking involved to it. Like, I personally fucking hate playing center. I like to just, the winger is kind of cruise the wing. I just got to cover the point, man. You don't gotta do too much. You're kind of like the guy in the bubble hockey thing. You're just fucking up and down the wing. you just find the open ice. You find the open ice. Cover the guy at the point. That's all you do. Center is way more. You gotta pick up the guy down low, pick up where the D is not in the corner, figure out where the play's going, and streak up the right side. It's just too much thinking. I don't. And a player like Tage, I just want to utilize the skill. Give him the puck on the wing. Get him an open ice. Get him the shooting areas. Same with Jack Quinn. He's a shooter. You don't want him to be. He's a shooter. Let him, if he wants to utilize his playmaking ability, utilize it from the half wall. Don't make him a center and take away his best ability. Mm-hmm. Get him streaking down the wing, ripping some fucking bombs.
I think they want him at center to get him in front of the net to prove that he can do that. Because they need somebody to be in front of the net. I was listening to the Instigators last week. I told you, Justin, that they were talking about how they got to find someone to go to the front of the net because your best two guys at it were Reinhardt and Risto, and you traded them both, which is fine. But someone's got to go to the front of the net and whack in a rebound or set up a screen or deflect a puck. And I mean, I know someone will do it, but there's a certain art and a skill to it that it's good to have on your roster. And who's that going to be?
I think Peterka should be in the lineup.
He's making a case. He had a nice goal tonight.
I think Peterka should be in the lineup. I think Quinn should go back to Rochester, obviously. And he probably will. I don't think Zemgus should be in the team anymore.
He's going to make the team.
He's going to. I hope he's like a fringe forward where him and Cody could take turns not playing.
Zemgus going to play every night. He's going to play in big spots too, I bet.
I'm not a fan of Hinestrova at all. I like the John Hayden guy.
Big body.
I'm actually a big fan of the Weisbach. He's like an older prospect. He's 23, but he took the 4 years in college. But I think I like the guy. The guy's fast. He's got hands. Plays like it was 100% effort. But I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys watch much of it?
I watched first period today, and I just frustrated at basic plays not being made. I mean, they got the box set up on the PK, and passes are going right through the middle of the box. Like, no, you got to break that up or take that lane away. Don't even give them the choice to make that pass. And if they do, you got to make them pay. Instead, they don't. And Voracek scores easily because they're just buzzing around in the zone on the power play. Dahlin with a turnover, and I'm not a Dahlin hater like a lot of people, but he's got to be better. If you're going to be the number one defenseman, you can't make that turnover and leads to a goal the other way.
If you're going to make that mistake, make it in preseason. Though I see he's trying to step around him, but he's got to pick. It's not the best spot to do it. When you're on a blue line, he gets away with it sometimes, but you can't be that cute all the time. It's going to happen. It happens to him all the time. He's got to really pick his spots a lot better. Not when you're in the cliff. If it's 4-1, you're winning. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, when you've made some of the moves he has, I think he may have a little bit of an overconfidence issue sometimes.
Fair. Guy's pretty good at hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I mean, you talked to me about going to the opener, and if I wasn't already busy, I was planning on going anyway. I'll go to games this year for sure. I have like $550 in StubHub credit right now because my wife and I bought 2 tickets to the Titans game in 2020. Mm-hmm. 2019. Oh gosh. No, it had to be 2020 because when did the pandemic start? Yeah. We had tickets thinking that COVID would be gone by October. Silly us. And
so you were going to go to the game in Nashville?
Yeah, the one that got moved to Tuesday.
Yes.
That weird one. But we got a refund way before that ever happened. StubHub gave us a refund way before that game ever even got rescheduled. And the StubHub refund included 25% credit.
Oh, wow.
So we paid like $412 for these 2 seats, which wasn't bad. We were like 30 rows from the field. Wasn't bad. And we ended up with over $500 in credit. So I figure with the $530 I have in credit, I could probably buy suites to every game in the Sabres because they're going to go for $6 a night. So I'll be sitting club level on my StubHub credit for $12 a night. And no, I do plan on going to a bunch of games. I don't care if they lose their first 10 games. I would go to the 11th game. It doesn't bother me at all. I like going to watch hockey. So I will be a fan of this team regardless. I'll be watching them regardless. I just hope they figure some things out. If nothing else, what I was thinking when I was driving here is if I'm like, if they're still bad, they're never going to get out of it. Like at some point, these kids need a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
At some point, they got to be good enough to say, yeah, we're only a couple pieces away.
I've come to the realization, like I've seen some of these rosters they're putting out for these preseason games. Now they're just putting guys in, but it's really made me realize how piss poor the roster is. And just makes you realize how much that gap is when they, like, how much they really lose and they're missing Eichel. Like, it just makes the roster so much worse. And he's still a Sabre, and we've said on this thing, it seems like it's only going to end with him playing some games and prove he's healthy. I don't think he ever suits up for the team at this point.
Yeah,
it's not looking that good.
Okay, can we talk about how the 3-0 Raiders are starting to look like they're about to get shit pumped by the Chargers?
We knew that the Raiders were imposters, though. I mean,
the Chargers, who in years past have found a way to lose in any way imaginable.
Well, they have a new coach that doesn't, mismanage the clock and game situations and punt on third down, so they're in good shape there. And Justin Herbert's legit, so they're a good team.
Yeah,
the Chargers beat the Raiders 9 out of 10 times if they play this game 10 times.
Yeah, Herbert and Eckler is a scary combination because Eckler is good both running the ball and receiving.
Yep. Neither one of those guys were supposed to be the features. It was supposed to be, Tyrod and Melvin Gordon, and then injuries happen, and now you have Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert. And yeah, I think that the Chargers are a very good team, and not enough that I'm afraid of them in the playoffs, but they're a good team.
Oh, my one other Sabres take I found. I got a few more I'm forgetting. But my biggest one, I don't know if it's not even a hot take, but Jacob Bryson just stinks. Fire him to the sun.
I haven't seen enough of him to know that. I like his game normally, and I defended him, but I haven't seen him enough.
He's so undersized. One of the things that I didn't like about him last year is he's so easily knocked off the puck.
He's tiny.
Yeah, he's only about 5'9", 170, I think it is. He's so undersized for a defenseman, it's ridiculous. And I thought one of the things he had to do this offseason is he needed to put on about 20 pounds of muscle, minimum.
Callum Miller stinks, too. Yeah. He's got to put the young guy. Put in Laxton. Put in Johansson. What's this guy's name?
Samuelson.
He'll
probably
I like. Matthias Samuelson probably made the team last year.
Yeah.
I liked how he played at the end of last year.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a full-time Sabre.
Miller should be the fringe 7th D-man. Holy shit. Actually, Jacob Bryson shit. I just think he's terrible.
I think they miss Will Borgen. You're talking about adding size and
I'm waiting for I'm waiting for the fuckboy Francis to put him on waivers. But he's a bonehead. But he ran that draft. Like, I was waiting for it.
Ron Francis?
I was waiting for him to be put him on waivers. They just scoop him up in a second. You see that guy that the Sabres picked up today from the Caps?
Okay, the salad is phenomenal. 10 out of 10 on the hair. And his name's Axel.
Yeah.
It's sick. I'm a fan.
That is a rich white boy name if I've ever heard one.
I saw that his name was Axel something or other. Isn't his last name hyphenated too?
I just had it up here.
He checks all the boxes.
Axel Janssen Fialbi?
Perfect.
Yep. Axel Janssen Fialbi. Holy shit. Sounds like a fucking shitty law firm.
There it is. Axel Janssen Fjallby off waivers.
Doesn't even say it.
From Stockholm, Sweden. Maybe Darlene's friends with him. Maybe that's why they brought him in.
All right.
Hey, coach, we got to pick up this guy. I'm friends with him. I know him. He would have helped team.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what accent that was, but...
You guys got anything else you want to touch on? Butte's training camp was this weekend. Their season's starting up here soon.
They have a lot of new players.
A lot of new players.
Huge
a lot of
roster
Europeans,
turnover, which probably isn't a bad thing because they struggled last year. So
and they're the one team that kind of set their roster very early on. And GM Nate Oliver was quoted saying it was by design, is he wanted the team to be in place and let relationships develop and camaraderie. And guys, I like Nate, the legend.
Yes, I want success for the Buttes for several reasons. One of the top reasons would be for Nate Oliver because he's awesome.
I wasn't able to. I had a busy weekend, unfortunately. I was not able to make it down there and scope things out, but I was following along on the Twitters. But yeah, Buttes. I guess that's all I got. You guys have anything else you want to wrap up with? Anything you want to touch on? Thanks for tuning back in Saturday. We have not been around. We've been busy. I literally had to shut it down. Most of it was me, right? And then you guys are busy the past few weeks, but I've been just going so hard training for the 11-day power play. It's coming up. It's actually about a month and a week away at this point. About 30, 40 days. 40 days.
What is the date?
Starts November 14th.
And will it be open to the public to watch?
As far as I know, it is an outdoor facility.
Yeah, and they've still got the bleachers on the one. Are you guys using the back rink or the? Do you know yet?
I think I've
you guys are using the main
far
rink, and then the
because
community shift will be using the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, so the far one with the bleachers, I'd imagine. I don't know, but
so that would give people a chance to watch.
Yeah, it can be open to the public. I don't know if it's going to be capacity limits, but yeah, I've been training nonstop for that. Playing hockey, so I just need to turn it off for a bit. I've lost 40 pounds. Humble brag.
Dang.
I found a couple of them.
Thanks, bud.
Shoot.
You're still handsome.
Shoot. I need to train with you.
I've just been playing a lot of hockey. I'm playing like 4 out of the 7 days a week, sometimes 5. Some days twice a day.
Dang.
That's a secret. Hockey's more fun than going to the gym.
Yeah, it is.
I've been playing.
Yeah.
I've been working out once a week, and then playing hockey the other 4 days. It's really what I've been doing, and changed my entire diet. But anyways, it's why we've been gone so long. But we've all been busy. Steve has kids. Jeff's a brand new homeowner, having house issues, but he's not here tonight. Just been homeowner for a week. Now he's had a plumbing issue, and now he's had a roof issue. He's hitting the whole kit and caboodle.
Welcome to homeownership.
Welcome to homeownership.
Same shit as always.
The parents always tell you, save. You want to keep a nest egg for in case things go wrong. You want to save a nest egg. What they really mean, they want to save a nest egg for any plumbing issues.
That's
all it is. You're saving money to fix your plumbing issues.
Yeah, in about the last year and a half, and I know this is low compared to what some people have to deal with. I think I've put about almost 15 grand into my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like the last year and a half or so.
Gotta get my front yard dug up for the plumbing. I gotta get a whole other pipe put into the basement. Another $3 grand.
And the thing that sucks for me is I have to get the driveway done and the kitchen done too. The kitchen has to be re-drywalled, and the driveway is literally coming up.
I'll do your kitchen for you.
Sweet.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Anybody got anything you want to say?
It's fun to be a Bills fan.
It is fun to be a Bills fan.
Super fun.
And it's going to be interesting to be a Sabres fan this year. You think Josh Allen plays anywhere this year? Or not Josh Allen?
I hope so. Fuck.
Jack Eichel? You think he plays anywhere?
No.
The Olympics?
No.
Nope.
Do you think Eichel's on camp for USA camps?
I think it's a health thing. No.
No?
I don't think he'll be healthy.
I mean, think he's on site for the camps? Think he's maybe just trolling around the ice? For the next
maybe that's the limit, is he'll just go out and easy skate or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. Anyways, I'm about to win a couple bets. He's going to still be in a roster. That's all I bet. Couple donations to 11-day power play. Anyways, let's wrap it up. Go Bills.
Go Bills. Thanks to Fucillo.
Thanks to Fucillo.
Of Grand Island.
Buy 3 tires, get one for $1.
$1.
Big deal. It's time for snow tires. Good deal.